Thank you, thanks.
Yes!
Let's see if I break this shit too.
It's a nailed it!
Thank you, that was my first trick. So it's hard to believe that it's only been 24 hours since I was in a cornfield on planet Earth.
Wow!
Yeah, that's right. Until I was abducted by a bunch of aliens. I had the best anal probe of my life. Yeah. It was a big hairy alien. He only went by the name Daddy.
Happy Daddy's Day!
Thank you, yeah. So they forced me to climb toward their rainbow-colored ship, and we ejaculated millions of miles until we landed here on planet Queer. Thank you. So my name is Delia Rawdon.
Hello.
So, like most small-town queers moving to the big city, I always wanted to see my name in bright lights on the board with everybody staring. And that happened for the first time last week in Los Angeles. At the Kaiser Pharmacy. When my name went up on that board, I bet at least half of the room saw my name. And those that didn't knew when they butchered my fucking name over the loudspeaker.
Oh no.
Delia, Rawdon, doggy, dog. Please come to window 5. So I stand up, I hold my head up high, and I marched up there, and I snatched my bowel prep for my next colonoscopy, and I held that bitch like it was the Oscar I always should have. That's what happened.
Yes, ma'am.
So I do appreciate Planet Queer and everything they do. They make a real safe space for LGBT artists to do whatever the hell they want to do. It's such a safe space. I can't believe I'm going to say this. I'm going to tell you, I'm a transgender woman. I've never told anybody before. So I guess this is my coming out party. Yeah, I hope somebody brought some cake. So being trans, we have to go through a bunch of stuff cis-het people don't have to go through. And in case you don't know what that means, cis-het is parcel tongue for boring, angry people of Earth. Yeah, they enjoy eating Chick-fil-A and reading the good book of J.K. Rowling.
OMG.
I know, that was bad even for me. But we do. Trans people have to go through a bunch of crap. And it actually starts typically at the doctor's office because you have to get, I guess, like, certifiably trans.
Yeah.
So yeah, you get a job, you get insurance, you get to the doctor's office. I'm there! I'm sitting in the seat, that crinkly piece of paper is crinkling. And the doctor starts to open the door. And he walks through, cool, clean, and collected. He sits down. He looks me square in the eye and he says, "Why are you here?" I'm nervous as fuck, you know. I'm like, I have testosterone poisoning. He doesn't even bat an eyelash. He just says, "Explain." Well, you see, I was born and they said I was a boy, but I'm not. I'm really a girl, and I need to take estrogen, and I need paperwork to prove it, and you know. Okay, yeah. So, he looks at me and he takes a deep breath and he says, "In my one hand, I have a red pill. Take it, and you'll be the woman you were always meant to be. And in my other hand, I have a blue pill." And I'm like, is that fucking Viagra? No way! I want the red pill, and I want the paperwork to prove it. He did. Yeah. So I'm certifiably trans, whatever the hell that means. So I go home, I file the paperwork so I can legally change my name and gender. And I'm super excited about this, and I'll tell all of you about it that buys me drinks. It's really fun, like a drunk story after the show. So we skip all that stuff, and we're at the DMV. We're at the final round. I'm here to get my ID. I'm armed with my birth certificate,
Yes.
my paperwork from Dr. Morpheus,
Yes.
my legal name change paperwork, and my legal, gender change paperwork, all neatly tucked in my vintage 1985 Care Bears Trapper Keeper. So, I do need to precursor this part of the story by saying that when I transitioned, I actually transitioned in backwoods, redneck, don't say gay, Florida. I'm actually a Florida refugee. Thank you, queer sunny California, for accepting me. Here I am. So I walk up and I kick in the saloon-style doors of this fucking DMV, right? And I walk right up to the counter. And there's this little old lady there, and I set my trapper keeper down. Take out my paperwork that's all neatly in order. I'm actually pretty proud of this. And I slide it over to her. Now she kind of looks up at me and starts going through my paperwork. Yeah, she actually fucking licked her finger. And she looks kind of puzzled, and she looks up at me. It took a while. I think she hurt her neck. She says, "Sir, there's no way I can give you an ID because your birth certificate doesn't match the rest of your records." So I snatch my paperwork, I put it right back in my trapper keeper, and I jump back. You ever have those moments where you do the most irrational thing you could ever do in a situation?
Yes!
Go off. Go
This
off.
was my time to shine. So I start screaming, "Kim Davis! She's Kim Davis in me! She's Kim Davis in me!" Now this is really funny if you actually know who Kim Davis is. And for those of you who don't, the queer community actually considers her one of the OG Karens.
Yes.
So I'm standing there, and I'm looking around. Women are hiding their children behind themselves. Men are bracing themselves against the wall, holding their concealed carry. Her eyes have caused a scene. I'm looking at Kim Davis dead in the eye. Who's going to make the first move? Tumbleweed blows across the and out of nowhere, boom, the door kicks in. This 4'2" man. He must be 700 years old. Looks a lot like Yoda. And this is funny if you know who Yoda is. He leans back and he says, "All right, little lady, what seems to be the problem?" And I said, "Kim Davis over here, she won't give me an ID." Kim Davis snarls, "The birth certificate does not match the rest of the records." And I'm like, "Of course it doesn't. It also says I'm 7 fucking pounds. A lot has changed since I was born, you know?" So Yoda starts walking over the keyboard, and he motions me over. So I get up there and I set my trapper keeper back down, hand him the paperwork. He picks up that paperwork, and with a little bit of disgust, because he could see that smudge that Kim Davis put there, kind of side eyes like, "We already had this conversation, Kim Davis." And he looks at it for about 2.5 seconds, and he's like, "She's right. There's no way she could be 7 pounds." like, I think I can fix this. He sets it down. He looks up at me and he says, ma'am,
Yes. Ma'am.
we need you to take a picture because in 7 to 10 days, you're going to have your ID in the mail. So I stuff everything back in that damn trapper keeper, and I'm out the door. I race home, and I tell my wife and kids. Did I tell you I have a wife and kids? I have a wife and kids. Yeah, queer love exists. So, yeah, and not just that, it's for longevity. I've been with my wife for 24 years. Yeah, our relationship is actually old enough to drink. And I'm old enough that when I do drink, it upsets my ulcerative colitis they found on that fucking colonoscopy. So I tell my wife, my wife and children, they're jumping, they're ecstatic. My wife's like, I'm going to make you a cake and dinner. I'm like, yes, I love cake. Yes. She's like, but I need 3 items. I need a loaf of bread,
Okay.
a quart of milk.
Okay.
Does anybody else know?
Is it magic beans?
And a stick of butter. Apparently I'm the only one that grew up on PBS watching Sesame Street. It's okay, it's okay. So she's like, the one caveat is you have to take the kids so I can start dinner. I'm like, okay, okay. Now I do need to let you know that I was young trans then.
Okay.
I was actually wearing a full-length sequins gown, my hair done up beauty queen style. I had enough foundation on to build a fucking house on my face. And if you think that paints a funny picture, imagine what my ID actually looked like. I had gotten earlier that day. So I take the kids to the grocery with me. Has anybody ever actually taken kids to the grocery? Yeah, bullshit, yeah. You learn about every product that you never knew existed if you never went to. So we get up there, loaf of bread, quart of milk, stick of butter. Let's get the loaf of bread. So we go over there, Dad, look, they have snack cakes. Dad, they have donuts. Dad, they have magnets. I'm like, oh, grab the fucking loaf of bread. Let's go to the dairy section. So we go over, Dad, look, they have milk. Dad, oh my goodness, they have SpongeBob dairy-free yogurt. I was like, what? They have cruelty-free yogurt for kids? They really did. And it was about that time I looked up and realized that every toothless, gun-toting, Rick Scott voting redneck was staring at me in hate. Now, it could have been because I was wearing such an amazing full-length dress. But it could have been because my kids had outed me like 75 times. So we check out, we get our items and we go. And we go home and I hand the loaf of bread, the stick of butter, and the quart of milk to my wife, and she starts making dinner. And we have this conversation. So maybe we need to change my parental name as well. You know, things you don't even think of until this shit actually happens. So, you know, what are we gonna call me? You're already Mom, so what do? I suggested Hot Mom. Yeah, that was shot down. What about Cool Mom? I'm like, you know what? Why don't you kids think about it? You all figure out what you want to call me, and well, you know, we'll go with that. We'll transition as a family. That sounds wholesome, right? So my little shit kid, I mean my kids, they sit down in a little huddle and they're starting to talk amongst themselves. They pull out their little cell phones. My wife is cooking and I'm like awkwardly standing there, you know? So a few minutes later, the kids come to a conclusion and you know they sent the youngest, you know. With the 12-foot eyelashes that go on for days, a little squeaky voice, and she says,
"Oh no!
Oh dear.
Oh
no! Mimi.
no!
We want to call you Mimi." And I melted. I was like, I love Mimi. Oh, we hugged like it was some kind of queer after-school special. It was a beautiful moment. It was. And for the next few weeks, they made up songs about me. Mimi's going viral. Yeah, it was like, it was amazing, you know? It's Mimi time, it's Mimi time. And then one day I'm like, I wonder what the fuck Mimi means. Yeah, so I pull out, So I pull out my cell phone and I type in M-I-M-I, because that's how you spell Mimi.
Correct.
And then I hit enter.
Oh no!
And the first thing that popped up in bold print is, Mimi means grandma.
Yeah!
And I'm like, there has to be a deeper meaning. They had to have thought deeper in it than to actually call me grandma. So I type in M-I-M-I, because I'm hooked on phonics. And then I put definition, boom, and I hit enter. The first website that popped up was thebump.com. It had nothing to do with drugs. And every person that's laughing, I'm asking you later a few questions. So, thebump.com, the definition of Mimi is the sea. This is really not a lie, you can look this shit up. The sea of bitterness. It is giving the vast expanse of language of our language. The kids came up with grandma, the sea of bitterness. So yesterday was Father's Day. Yeah, that shit's awkward in our household. So we call it Mimi's Day. Isn't that sweet, Mimi's Day? Yeah, we do. And I keep trying to tell them Mimi's Day is every day.
Yes!
That got shot down like hot mom. And with that, that's about all the time I have tonight. Thank you.